what we're going to do is a list of, our top 5 people that we would either like to see this happen to or think it would be. Mine is sort of a mix. Mine is a list of, no one on here is, like convicted of a horrible crime or violence or something on my list. It's like people who
that's
are...
funny. My whole list is I have OJ at number 1.
Dear God.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting how it shakes out.
But the people on my list are like not liked at all. And to me, it's because I think it would be... The thought of these people in 10 years, suddenly people really rooting for them is hilarious to me. I do want to say, too, though, this finals is ostensibly long. And at some point on the next show, I want to talk about LeBron and Chris Paul's friendship and relationship, because I'm sure Chris Paul will come up again. And I want to save that for next time because I have some funny thoughts about it. But I do think there's some people that this has already happened to. As I mentioned, A-Rod. I think Tanya Harding got this treatment a lot, but it happened.
Yeah, got the movie made.
But
after
I also think
her...
that's sort of it's more common to see people get redemption stories once they've retired and stopped playing and can kind of tell their side of the story. Do you know what I mean? And so to have this happen while they're playing, that's what I made my list based on.
You know what the greatest redemption story in all sports is?
No.
Joe Buck. Joe Buck being a guy that everybody hated, the guy that like no one, and then right around 2016, Joe, come on the show for God's sake. We got to talk about
Mark,
this.
It's too obvious, Joe. You got to stop making.
I am a Joe Buck historian. I know the moment in time that everything flipped on its head and Joe Buck became likable and it became like everyone's favorite. And if you're listening to this and you're like, Titus, you're wrong. Joe Buck's not my favorite. Hey, shut up. You're wrong. You're wrong. In fact, you're the one who's wrong. Joe Buck's the best. But
Joe Buck's my favorite.
In all seriousness, I remember Joe Buck. I hated Joe Buck. I would tell it, like, if Joe Buck was on the show, I'd be like, dude, I remember when I mean, he's talked about it ad nauseum because I listened to every interview the guy does about the Randy Moss call when Randy Moss fake mooned. I'm telling you, I'm a Joe Buck historian. When he fake mooned the Packers fans and Joe lost his mind, and he's talked about this before, and people hated him for that, and I hated him too because he's a Cardinals guy, obviously, and I'm a Cubs fan, and he, that would get annoying. But now he's awesome, and what happened? I remember what happened is 2016 is what started it, and things started to flip, and he made some maneuvers, and now everybody loves the guy. So,
Joe Buck, come on the podcast and talk about what it's like to be loved after you were hated.
Yes, please, for the love of God.
You know what's awful is that I'm gonna go the other way. Like, for the most part,
hate Joe Buck now?
No. About my Jesus, come on. Don't even. Can we cut that out? Don't even put that out into the universe. We need this man to appear on our podcast. No, I feel like for most of my career, I mean, there are definitely people who don't like me, and I've had some online dust-ups where it's become very clear who exactly does not like me. But for the most part, my experience online is fairly pleasant. And in like 6 years, I'm going to be a villain.
Mm-hmm. But that's when you say, I haven't changed, you've just changed, to all the people that hate you.
That's true.
That's what you say to them. And then they're like, oh my God.
A few people are like, I don't like her shtick. And I want to just say the yearbook thing to them. I'm like, buddy, trust me. It's not a shtick. I wish it were a shtick. Anyway, who's number one? 5. Let's start from 5.
Right.
Who's number 5 on your list?
I'm going first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm glad I'm going first because I'm just going to blow the doors off of this thing out of the gate. This is going to blow your mind that I'm going to say this. And I can't believe I'm saying this in a microphone, but I'm going to say it anyway. José Altuve is number 5 on my list. And the reason this is shocking for me to say is because I hate the Houston Astros just as much as any. I can't imagine anybody is more upset about this. LeBron is upset. We remember LeBron's tweet that Rob Manfred would not take away hashtag just my thoughts as a sports junkie, regardless of the own sport I play. I'm right up there. I hate the Astros for cheating. I think they should have their World Series taken away. But Charlotte, this blew my mind because I don't know. I wanted to point this out. I was researching this list, and as I was trying to put stuff together, I was wondering, like, who's the most hated person in baseball that could be redeemed. And I was like, it's got to be somebody on the Astros. So I started like researching the Astros scandal again and reminding myself like who played what part, et cetera, et cetera. And I found, now I'm not someone who just because I read it, I believe it. Now, having said that, Babe Ruth.
You 100% are that person. Are you kidding me? If it's written down on the internet, Mark's like, I can't believe Babe Ruth murdered his wife. And then you read something else that says he didn't, and you're like, sorry, never mind.
I got Babe Ruth wife murdered. Is that what we're gonna call it? I got like the same thing that happened there happened with us. I got Babe Ruth because I read about this theory that José Altuve actually played almost zero part in the cheating, and actually José Altuve is innocent.
The guy with the buzzer on his.
Well, listen to me. I'm going to make a case for you because this was the case. Yeah. Someone went through and tracked all of the times that the trash can was being hit, and Jose, I swear to God.
Hold on 1 second. Every single time the Astros cheating, we need to acknowledge the fact that it was absolutely brilliant that they used a trash can. Sorry, continue.
And they said that Jose Altuve actually didn't like the trash can because it was distracting to him. And if someone crunched the numbers, they said Jose Altuve had like the lowest trash can hit rate of at bat. Like the Astros did not bang the trash can when he was up to bat because he hated it. He would look at him and be like, "Please stop doing this." Because it distracted him. He was like, "I'm already a great player. I don't need this shit. Like, I can see the ball coming. I don't need your help. Please stop." The most damning piece of evidence was when he's coming home from third base and he's holding a shirt and he's saying, "I have a piece on," is what people think he's saying. And he's like, don't rip my shirt off. You're going to be able to see my buzzer, all that kind of stuff. So what apparently happened, and again, this is according to one theory, is that he is saying camisa, which is t-shirt in Spanish. He's from Venezuela, so he speaks Spanish. And he's saying, no, don't, like, no camisa, do not rip off my shirt. And the reason he's saying this is because the Astros have a history of doing that. Like, if guys hit walk-offs, they'll just, like, run up and, like, just mess up your hair, take off your hat, rip your shirt off. Like, they just make a whole scene of the whole thing. And he was saying, please don't do that. Like, I don't want you to rip my shirt off. And he was saying camisa. So there was that. There was also like Carlos Correa. I found a video of him saying that Jose Altuve didn't cheat, like he didn't want any part of the whole thing. So now like my brain is turning, and I'm thinking to myself, we're gonna get like a 5-year article on the 5-year anniversary of the Astros cheating scandal. We're gonna get some article that like revisits it, where someone makes the case that Jose Altuve has been wrongfully accused in all of this. You should actually like the guy. And then suddenly everyone's going to cheer for Jose Altuve to win a World Series without the Astros. He can't do it with the Astros. He's got to be like traded away. But like Jose Altuve is on, I don't know, pick a team.
Jose Altuve is going to be on the Cubs.
He's on the Cubs.
And people are going to want him to win. I was going to say he can't do it with the Astros. I'll go a step further though, Mark. First of all, you've now convinced me. I believe you. And we shouldn't wait 5 years. We should try to get Jose Altuve on this podcast and defend himself right now.
Jose, if you didn't do it, you would come on the show and say
if you don't come on the show, you did it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. It's that easy. It's that
Carlos
simple.
Correa also is definitely the villain in this situation because he's like, I'm proud of it, or something. He was like, whatever, and it's like, okay, I'm with you. I think Altuve is adorable also, and we just need more pictures of him standing next to tall men.
There you go. So I think there's a path back for Jose Altuve, believe it or not. So I put him at number 5, but it's a long road back. So that's why he's the number 5. It's a long road. All right.
Okay. My people are all people who I think it's nearly impossible. So if it happens, it'll be incredible. My number 5 is Kyle Busch in NASCAR because he is probably the most hated driver, but he's also extremely good. I mean, he trolls people. He'll get into it on Twitter. He, does these sort of gestures after he wins, like maybe not the suck it gesture, but like something close to it. And he's always sort of, needling guys on the course. And, the most likable thing about him to the mass public is probably that he's repped by M&Ms. I mean, he wears like a bunch of candy on his suit. It's hard to dislike a guy who does that. And he does that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a smart brand move for him too, to have M&M. Because if he was sponsored by Budweiser or something,
they'd be like,
it's a little easier to hate him. Yeah.
Or Busch beer, they'd be like too on the nose. Yeah. But he's like the M&M's guy, and people still hate him. But to me, if you think about it, like Dale Earnhardt Sr. was kind of hated. No one really liked him that much before he had his fans, but like he went from villain to hero a little bit.
Yeah,
he was more badass than Kyle Busch because he like made his own car and just showed up and did it. But I think for Kyle Busch to be liked again, he would just need to last longer than anyone ever and be in M&M commercials. And I think there's a path forward for him.
Yeah. Okay. All right. A lot of people might disagree with the Earnhardt thing, but I didn't like Earnhardt per se. I thought he was really good, but I was a Jeff Gordon guy, so
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But then,
people hated Jeff Gordon too. I don't know. NASCAR's weird. The fandoms are weird with
I just think that Kyle Busch is like the most consensus not liked guy, and he does have his fans. He has people who are like, who cares what the haters say? Like, he's great. Right. But I think for the general NASCAR loving public to like him, it would take the longest career, the most career wins, and then like a redemption tour and a bunch of M&M commercials.
I think Kyle Busch is more similar to Tony Stewart in terms of like how much people hate. And then Tony Stewart's redemption tour, yikes. We'll just say that.
Yikes. Maybe the comparison hopefully ends there.
Yikes. But yeah, I'm with you. Maybe we look up in a few years and we're like, what is he really guilty of? So what? Yeah. He speaks his mind. Are we going to kill him for that?
He didn't.
Yeah. I like it. That's a good pick. Number 4 for me, I'm sticking to the sport of basketball. I think if Chris Paul wins his ring, all of our attention goes to this next guy in terms of like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I want him to win a ring. He's basically Chris Paul in terms of how great he is, the flopping, the shenanigans, all of that. His name is James Harden, and he plays for the Brooklyn Nets. And I think he is next on the list in terms of getting the Chris Paul treatment by the NBA people. That for a very long time, people have been cheering against James Harden. A lot of people hate the way he plays. A lot of people hate how he draws fouls. A lot of people the one difference between Harden and Paul, I will say, is that Chris Paul is part of why people don't like him. Is he is very demanding of his teammates, and he's never really won anything to speak of, and yet he's in a locker room like saying we have to do it this way, and he's yelling at teammates and whatever. James Harden is not demanding of teammates. No. He's not even demanding of himself. So that's a little different. But no, I see a world like James Harden's on the Brooklyn Nets. I doubt people are really going to cheer for the Nets to win a title as long as they have Kyrie and Kevin Durant. But I do envision a world where James Harden is older and he's not on the Nets anymore. The Nets have broken up, and he's maybe the one guy that's stuck with the Nets or something, where we're cheering for him to, if he's already won a ring with the Nets and Kevin Durant and all that, we're cheering for him to quote unquote win a real one now.
Yeah.
Or win one where he's the guy or whatever it is. I think we're close to that because we were kind of getting that way. It was sort of getting close to that in Houston with James Harden. He did himself no favors with how he got out of Houston and went to Brooklyn. But I do think in the end, he's going to be likable, and there's going to be a way that people are going to cheer for him. But we're not there yet. We're definitely not there yet.
If he'd stayed in Houston, I think we would have been there already.
Yeah.
If he'd stayed in Houston, I think people would be like, but I do agree. I also think that he's just sort of a soft-spoken guy. So from a like personality standpoint, except for everything with Houston, people are going to forget about that and just sort of be like, yeah, why don't we I guess. But then, I think that there's a narrative where it's like, well, of course he wanted out of Houston, like he wanted to win,
That's what I mean. Maybe more time passes and you're like, wow, that Houston situation was a disaster. I don't blame James for wanting out, Yeah.
Exactly. And I could see that. I could 100% see that happening. And he's also just like, the beard, I think, carries a lot of weight for him.
Mm-hmm, literally.
Like, I think that beard will take him far. I like that one. Okay. My next one is Baker Mayfield.
Whoa. Interesting.
Because he is when you were talking about the Chris Paul who is kind of a pest or annoying or, he rubs people the wrong way, but like he is, and he hasn't won anything, and he's been on he's been on the Browns, but like he took them to the AFC Championship, and he's making a name for himself, and he's in a bunch of commercials that now people like him because of how he acts in these commercials.
Yes.
And so he's sort of starting on the Chris Paul redemption tour like 10 years earlier than Chris Paul did. And I think that if he gets farther enough in his career where he goes to like 7 more AFC championships without ever winning, people are going to, he could go to the Colts and people are going to be like, we really want Baker to finally get a ring. Or
he doesn't have to go to the Colts. He can just stay at the Browns, Or,
exactly. He could stay at the Browns, or he wins for the Browns And then even people who aren't Browns fans are like, we have to give it to him because he did the impossible. Yeah. It would be like Julius Randle getting the Knicks a ring. You know, it's like, oh my God, like this guy that we sort of counted out for a bunch of years has finally done it. And like he put his time in, and his redemption arc is a lot because, you know, people think he talks back or he's too brash or the whole Ohio State flag thing.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
You know, yeah.
The flag thing. Watching all the Celtics people pretend that Kyrie stomping on the Celtics was I was like, dude, will you guys please show that? Like, I had to watch Baker Mayfield like take a flag and wave it in our faces. Like Kyrie was at least kind of subtle about it, where he was like, you know, looking the other way as he kind of like threw his foot down real quick.
It was like a little kid who thinks you're not noticing. Ever.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield was like, suck my.
Right. So he has like, but it's pesty. You know, it's not like he's not playing dirty. Really, he's not like. I don't know. So I think that I could see a very clear path forward for him, and I think he might already be on it.
That's a great pick. In fact, the only problem I have with that pick is that it's not high enough because I have Baker Mayfield at number 3 on my list.
Oh,
not at number 4.
Look at you.
For all the reasons you pointed out, I don't think he has to switch teams. I think he's with the Browns. I think the way America rallies behind Baker is he keeps doing the commercials.
Yeah. But you agree that commercials are a big part of this.
I definitely agree. He's also very likable on social media. Like he's always been kind of likable too. I should say that. Like even the flag thing in retrospect as an Ohio State fan, I'm like,
I was always into that, to be honest, but I'm not Ohio State, so I don't.
He's been unapologetically him. I think one of the issues with him starting out of his NFL career was that he was drafted to the Browns, not just because the Browns are LOL the Browns, but because he was following in the footsteps of Johnny Manziel, and there was the obvious parallel of, is Baker Mayfield the next Johnny Manziel? He's not. He's actually very good at football. He's not quite as far on the like out of his mind spectrum that Manziel seemed to be. Yeah. So I think Baker he's sort of figuring it out too, where he's a decent enough quarterback. I don't think he's a super duper star, but he's my perspective. I think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl. I think if you put enough, he's above that threshold of like how good you have to be if you can put enough guys around him to win a Super Bowl.
Once Tom Brady retires, Baker Mayfield could win a Super Bowl.
Exactly. So I think the situation is fast forward like 8 or 9 years. Baker Mayfield is how old at that point? I don't know, mid-30s. And he's been to like one AFC championship is all. The Browns are still the Browns. They're still like good, but they're like, God, why do they always choke? They can't get it done. Now all of a sudden you look up, Baker Mayfield back in the AFC championship, and everybody's rallying around him as he's about to play. God,
do the damn thing.
They're playing the Jaguars in the AFC championship or something. Who knows? Yeah, and everyone's like, I want the Browns to win this because I think Baker. It's been fun watching him, and he deserves a ring.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm totally with you. Yeah.
Who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Patrick Reed.
Oh, interesting.
Because I can't think of an athlete in any sport who's disliked more just for being who he is than Patrick Reed.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, on the scale once again of like, you know, without being a horrible person who's done horrible things to women or something, like from what I understand, Patrick Reed, I Googled this, I looked it up. He seems like it seems like he's just obnoxious and unlikable. And who's his favorite? Is Imagine Dragons his favorite band? Is he that guy? Like there's nothing likable about this guy.
That is not a harmless thing.
That's a serious offense. I honestly don't see a world in which Patrick Reed has a path forward. Like, people hate when people don't talk to their families, and Patrick Reed's wife came between him and his family, and we wouldn't have to change. Patrick Reed would have to change for people to like Patrick Reed. And so I'm very interested. I can't even imagine a world in which he has this path forward. So that's why he's my number 3 pick, because I'm like having trouble. Maybe he just wins a ton and people are begrudgingly like, okay, I guess I like it.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with this one only because of what you said. Like, we have to, it's not a case of us changing. He has to be the one to change because the guy is so, the only thing I can imagine that doesn't require him just like fundamentally changing how he goes about his affairs and his public perception and all that. Isn't he great at the Ryder Cup? Isn't that like part of his thing, that he's like he's almost Captain America?
Yes.
Maybe he just like continues to just chip away at that. Like he just keeps representing America at a level that's like we've never seen before. We're like, we just get to a point where we're like, at least those of us in America, we're just like, I can't deny it anymore. I love how much glory this guy brings to the country.
That's true.
Maybe that's it.
Or
I don't know.
He could go the A-Rod route.
Good call.
He could become a commentator, and suddenly he's like actually funny and sort of charming, and people are like, where was this the whole time?
A-Rod, I would say the original A-Rod may be John McEnroe with tennis.
Yes.
That he was hated as a tennis player.
There was no world in which you thought John See?
And now he's everyone's favorite commentator. I love John McEnroe calling tennis. Yeah. Me too. Interesting. Maybe that's
he was great in that Mindy Kaling Netflix show.
Well, there you go. All right, I like that. My number 2, also in the world of golf. Mm-hmm. If you had to guess, Charlotte.
I know.
If you had to guess.
I know who it is.
It's Bryson DeChambeau. It is Bryson DeChambeau, because you want to talk about like trying to think of reasons we actually hate this guy. Like this dude is the corniest dude on earth, but. Right. Who's that hurting, really?
Right.
I guess his caddy.
Besides Brooks.
Yeah, besides Brooks and his caddy who quit on him. I don't know how it's gonna happen for Bryson DeChambeau, but I want to see it happen so bad. I want him to be at Augusta National, and he's never won the Masters, and that's a talking point. And he famously said that Augusta was playing at like a par, what did he say, 66, whatever it was, and then he shoots like 5 over. I forget the numbers, but like he had such the bravado about him. Fast forward however many years, and Bryson cannot unlock Augusta. He can't figure it out, and we're all looking around, and we're like, you know what? It would be pretty cool.
It would be great.
You wake up on Sunday morning and Bryson's in second place, and he's on the final grouping at Augusta, and you're like, all right. It'd be cool if he finally figures this place out and wins one. I can't deny it.
I love that. I love that. You know who had a major redemption tour is Tiger Woods.
Oh yeah.
I mean, talk about that. That's why. I mean, he's a complicated one, but I think that I love the Bryson one. I also want a supercut of every time you said Bryson DeChambeau on this podcast.
Same. Bryson had to make an appearance. The best finish he's ever had at Augusta is tied for 21st in 2016. And I think Augusta...
He's been playing golf that long?
You can... Yeah. Well, you think he just like showed up and a couple years ago?
Yeah. Sort of.
He was just a guy that was like pounding weights in the gym and was like, I could do that.
That's what I think of him. He's like, maybe I'll play golf.
Like if Ryan Russillo just started right now, he's like,
literally how I feel about Bryson.
It. I'll win the U.S. Open. I don't care. I could do it. How hard could it be?
There's probably a soundbite of Russillo saying that somewhere. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, that's a great one. Surprised that's not your number 1, to be honest. My number 2 is Brad Marchand of the Boston Celtics, Boston Bruins.
Okay.
Because there is no one who is more hated in hockey unless you are a Bruins fan. And this is another sort of troll pick because I actually don't know that this is possible. But if you go to his Wikipedia page, there's a whole section on playing style and criticism. He is an extremely dirty player. Like he hurts other guys. He gets fined for it. And this is so here's a sentence. Ready? The following month, Marchand was fined $5,000, the maximum allowable under the collective bargaining agreement for cross-checking Flyers defenseman Andrew McDonald, marking the third time Marchand faced supplemental discipline in the 2017-2018 NHL season, and the 6th time he's been fined for his behavior in the NHL. Okay. New sentence. Marchand was also involved in 2 separate but similar incidents in which he would kiss or lick the neck or face of other players during play.
What?
Now that to me, there's this clip of him. He just like licks this guy's face and he like kissed someone's neck. And that to me is so funny. That the minute he did that, I was like, all the dirty I'm a Bruins
Lance
fan,
Stevenson
obviously.
Blowing in LeBron's face, like that sort of deal. Like that's the idea.
He like licked his face. And to me, like if Marchand were to stop doing anything dirty or sketchy right now, like cut it out for the rest of his career, but occasionally like lick someone's face every once in a while, I think that is like, I think America falls in love with that guy. They're like, he's changed. He's no longer tripping guys. He's no longer doing dirty hits. Like He's just like that. To me is the funniest possible way to troll someone, is you just go up and like kiss their neck playing hockey.
What's the lick threshold? It's no longer concerning. It's funny. It's like if he's
5 licks in.
5 licks. Okay, you get 5 licks a season, Brad. You can't. You do 6 licks. It's like, oh, come on. This is
maybe
weird.
3. Maybe 3. But come on, like him, like a guy like that being redeemed is so difficult, and yet I do see a path forward.
All right, I'm sold. If yeah. Hockey's a weird sport, man. Like
Hockey's real weird. I can't explain icing, but I can give you a detailed history of Brad Marchand licking people's faces.
That's a good one. My number 1. I hope you're sitting down for this, and you are, because I can see you on camera here. This is one of the boldest things I've ever done on this show.
Oh my god!
But,
oh my god!
I'm gonna say it anyway. My number 1 is not Chris Paul. It is someone in the Paul family, though. His name is Logan Paul. Oh.
You know that scene in Old School where he gets a dart in the neck and falls into the pool, and as he's getting tranked, he goes, "You're crazy, man. You're crazy, man."
What if, just hear me out, what if Logan Paul is actually...
Absolutely not.
What if Logan Paul is, and you go, no. I'm going to stop you right there.
Go. Tell me.
What if he... I just think this would be the most insane story, and this would absolutely blow my mind if like Logan Paul, number 1, turns out to be like an actually great boxer, which is highly unlikely, but you know, possible, and number 2, somehow like salvages it where like instead of I mean Floyd Mayweather is not a great guy, you know, and Logan Paul called him out. We're like, what if that becomes his brand, where he just like he starts fighting. Like he's the guy that fights the guys that no one likes.
Well, the problem is no one likes him.
No one likes him, but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying about Chris Paul, where it's like you got to find the bigger villain, and then now all of a sudden his brand is I beat you. Think you hate me? Well, I know how much you hate that guy. Watch what I do to him. And he beats him, and he starts stacking these up, and he's win after win, and then suddenly you look up and he stops doing exhibitions. He's doing like real life fights, and suddenly Logan Paul is the best boxer. No, he's like a decent boxer. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I actually do. Here's how this works. He has to go on an accountability tour, because the new thing is that you don't get canceled, you get held accountable. And if you apologize for your past mistakes and make a concerted effort to be better and make promises and then follow through on that, people are like, okay, we will accept your apology and give you the benefit of the doubt in thinking maybe it is possible that you have changed, and if you don't screw up again or do something shitty again, we'll let you be redeemed, which is kind of all you can do, because you can't like, people aren't going away. If you just say you're done forever, then they lean into being worse. Right. But if you say, hey, there's a path forward. So if Logan Paul like does the whole accountability thing and then just calls out and starts boxing people who are even worse, like, oh my god, it's possible. There's a path.
That's all I'm saying. And I'm saying it would be very unlikely that America rallies behind this guy. But that's why he's number 1. That's why he's number 1 on my list, because that would be absolutely insane. And I think that is, if you're looking at a redemption story, because it's also 2-pronged. It's not just like who he is as a person, it's who he is as a boxer as well, because like that's annoying to people. It's like the fact that you're doing pay-per-views and you're like undermining this sport that a lot of people love, and they think that there's like a romance and an integrity to how you have to become a prize fighter, all that, and you just skipped in front of the line and said, I'm gonna fight Floyd Mayweather. But what if it turns out he does take it super seriously, and he actually like puts in he pays his dues somehow, and the boxing community's like, you know, I shit on this kid out of the gate, but I got to be honest, he's not a bad fighter, and he paid his dues, and that. It's hard, Charlotte. It's going to be a very hard path for him. But I think the path is there.
It's going to be very hard, especially because he has done, I'm pretty sure it's him and not his brother, he's done like bad things to women. And it's like, okay, that to me, that's where I start being like, you know, you're done forever. But, you know, if someone's going to keep on existing and they find a way to, you know, like start a charity and be better, it's like, I'm probably never going to like the guy, but I might give him as much as to say like, okay, at least you're trying, or at least you're
and
doing.
Again, what if it's him versus a guy who's done even worse things
I know.
to him?
I know, and he just keeps he
beats his
really
ass,
makes,
and you're like, well, I kind of
that coupled with giving a lot of money to some good causes, and I can see a path forward for Logan Paul. But he has to mean it. He has to mean it. That's a wild pick. But I see where you're coming from. Okay, my number one is not quite as wild, but it's Kyrie Irving.
Ooh, okay.
Because he's won a championship. Has he won 2?
He's won 1.
He's won 1.
2016 with the Cavs,
so
yeah.
It's not like he doesn't have a ring.
Mm-hmm.
He rubs a lot of people the wrong way. People, you know, like you mentioned Celtics fans, you know, he has a great track record in terms of standing up for social justice and saying the right thing. I think people hate when he just decides to take a few games off, like the people who I think that you can go either one way or another on him. I think that people who don't like him though, or who thought like the whole flat earth thing, they were like, he just says stuff, you know, like it would be very hard for Kyrie to come back and have the Chris Paul narrative. Like I would have a hard time looking up and how long has he been playing? How old is he? Is he like 29, 30?
2011, he was the number 1 pick, so he's been in the league, 10 years?
So he's my age, so he's like 32. So he's running out of time.
He was probably 19 when he got drafted, because he was a one and done, so he's probably 29. He's
such
probably
an idiot.
Not quite
I'm like,
30.
everybody went to a 4-year liberal arts school, just like me.
So he's probably
Did
not quite 30.
Did he major in history and creative writing too? Okay, so he's like 29. Say he's 29.
I think so, yeah.
He's running out of time for that sort of, you know, for all of America to get on board to the point where he's 29. Okay, so he's running out of time for people. Like I have a hard time seeing every talk show or every article being like, Chris Paul is the guy. I have a hard time seeing a world in which it would be like Kyrie Irving is the guy and he deserves this, because he already has one and he's done a lot of other things that people aren't totally on board with. I don't personally have a problem with Kyrie. I have always sort of been a Kyrie fan. I was psyched when he went to the Celtics. I was not psyched when he left, but like whatever. I think that he's going to remain polarizing. So if he is a path forward, that would be impressive to me.
I think one of his paths forward, I have an idea. It is this. He has to like throw out some conspiracy, because he kind of dabbles. I don't know if conspiracy is the right word, but flat earth. He brings up the flat. He's known for that. Whether as you said, he was trolling, or whether he believes whatever. That has now been attached to you know, discussions about him that gets brought up. Right. I think he's got to throw out a handful of other crazy stuff and hit on one of them. And as soon as he hits on one of them,
oh wow,
you know, because that's the thing about conspiracies. We should say, not just like innocent, like not every single conspiracy theory is wrong. There are some that are, and that is like why they're kind of dangerous, is because the people that like are prone to those are like, no, this one was right. So like, therefore all of these are right. But with that, they're not all wrong. So like, if you're someone who believes that every conspiracy theory is not right, you're also kind of stupid, if we're being honest. Like there has to be some. So Kyrie finds one. He starts throwing it out there.
I know what it is.
He gets killed for it. He gets proven to be correct. And then everyone's like, holy shit, if he was right about that, what else could he be right about? And then he's like, exactly. And then he walks away and he just lets you think on it. You're like, whoa. And he wins like 4 more championships. Yes. Here's what it is. If Kyrie Irving, this is going to sound insane. If Kyrie Irving decides that aliens are going to be his thing. Whoa. That's a great move. Yeah. If Kyrie Irving is like, Area 51 is real, there are actual aliens here, and then he makes a documentary about it, and he proves once and for all, you know, the Pentagon has been like, yeah, we're tracking aliens or whatever. Like we're aliens are conspiracy theory, but they're also like not complete. Like, I don't think we're the only forms of intelligent life. It's a great one, because like if you say that they're aliens, you're like, I think they're aliens. Everyone's like, you're crazy. But then also if you're like, I don't think there are any other life forms in the universe, you're like, you're crazy. And you're like, well, which one is it? Do you know how big the universe? I don't know. So if Kyrie Irving, this could even be after he's playing basketball, like starts a production company to make documentaries, and he proves that aliens are real, then whoa. I don't see a world in which people, like, he is then, like, that's the coolest thing in the world. Yeah. If you prove that aliens are real,
you are automatically.
I don't even know if it has
beloved.
to go that far. If he just kind of makes it his brand, where he just like retweets articles about UFOs and stuff, like he just becomes kind of an alien guy, and then people have him on the podcast, and he's just like, you have to look at some of the. Have you seen the footage of this and that and whatever? And he just kind of makes it his thing. The way Tom DeLonge, the Blink-182 guy, has made it his thing.
Yeah, Tom DeLonge is all in on aliens, and because there's nothing very harmful about that. It's not like a political conspiracy theory. It's not that you're teaching false information. If a kid wants to believe that they're aliens, like great, let them believe that they're aliens. Who cares? You know what I mean? So I think I think Kyrie Irving's path forward is that he leans into being the alien guy and just goes really hard on that and keeps playing basketball, keeps speaking out for social justice, but he really is all in on aliens being real. I think that makes him 10,000 times more likable.
That's a great idea.
To the general public.
I think that's exactly it. And then Kyrie Irving and Logan Paul box each other and
and Kyrie wins. No,
Kyrie
if
wins.
Kyrie Irving and Tom DeLonge team up on an alien project.
Oh my God.
Who says no?
Done. I'm watching.
Who says no?
Take my money. I don't know what it is, but here, I want to see it.
And then Blink-182 gets back together to do the soundtrack for it. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then Kyrie shows up at a Blink-182 concert, and and plays the drums.
We saw
Travis Barker. Done. Boom.
Hey pals, thanks for watching the People's Sports Podcast YouTube channel. For more of mine and Mark's very weird rabbit holes, stick around, watch more. You can subscribe, smash that subscribe button. You know you want to. We're going to give you all the weird stuff we possibly can.